Welcome back. Yeah, so we were discussing about that how does one conventionally address conflicts. Now, generally, we see the suppression of conflicts around in many format. Like in case of acute diseases, we know that the treatment is a way to suppress disease. The symptomatic suppression is the objective of treatments. So that way we see conflicts are getting suppressed around. So the suppression of conflict we were discussing. So yeah, in that Binal was suggesting that we must consider discussing about the so-called positive emotions also, because it may look like not a conflict. How that also is understood as a conflict. Is that right, Binal? That's what you're trying to
Yeah.
understand? Yeah.
Also, since Anita has joined, Anita, would you want to share your reflection, especially with regard to how sensation, when accompanied with the idea-driven sensations, vis-a-vis where there is only a perception, where you able to understand and decipher the difference
Without the
between.
sensation.
Would you want to share?
I'm not sure whether at this stage I would be able to, explain it like what I feel. But yeah, I'm slowly connecting with the concept that is getting discussed. So I'll come to a stage wherein I'll say that I would like to share and I'll share it. Yeah, is that okay?
Yes,
Sure,
yes,
yeah.
absolutely. So what was coming to the understanding, perhaps, Binal, on your proposal of how a positive emotion is a conflict. So for positive emotions are basically a pseudo relief sensation, which are definitely sensation because you are having a feel good factor out of it. Now, but it gives no discomfort at the first place. So where the challenge is? The challenge is in the adoption of the framework, where we have already considered something as true. We have considered something as true, and we have put all our energy in achieving that particular true that we have considered as true. So this is utterly an illusion that we are subject to, and that construction of illusion is the conflict. I'm not sure if it is comprehensible. Binal, are you able to comprehend? I don't know if you would like to add something on that.
For example, if one is having an idea that I would do a certain things. For example, there was a mention, like one example given by Pooja as well, that how to detoxify. So when one is making conscious efforts to kind of align with nature by adopting
Planned effort, you mean?
Yeah, planned effort with the intention to kind of with the intention to align and bring a more so in those, for example, eating say fruits and salads and waking up with the morning cycles, all these are planned. Now that is with the intention to achieve the goal of
better health,
conserving energy. Yeah. And now this may look like a positive thing, a more disciplined way of looking, because one is putting an effort to kind of tick mark all the boxes. So that itself is also a framework, because it's operating from the source of this is a idea that I can achieve it in terms of the energy conservation. So that
and moreover, that's not limited to that space. but it is a denial of spontaneity in nature. So the underlying consideration is that without effort, it cannot be achieved. Without planned effort, it cannot be achieved. And that's the conflict. Are we able to comprehend this portion?
Oh, in that case, can we take an example of reducing weight? So if my goal or I want to achieve reduction, so I need to have planned efforts, no, to reduce weight.
No,
So
at the first place, the question comes that why you want to work on your weight? Why you don't understand that the weight is a byproduct of the way one lives?
Yeah, could be, but I have reached a certain weight and I want to reduce it, say, by 5 kg.
Yeah,
So,
so that's again why
so
you
you're
want
talking
to.
about whether wanting itself
Yes, yes. Why you
to
want to
be
want?
to be more healthy and fit.
So, so if we explore that, am I really designed to be healthy? Whether, and again, if we remove that ego lens, then the question comes that whether the organisms are designed to be healthy spontaneously or not. If we ask that question, then a lot of things get revealed. Then we find that organisms are structured to be healthy. The diseased state is a very temporary state to bring back the health that happens in the organisms. Through observation, when we see all these holistic aspects, then we see the kind of limited aspect of my goal formation. I have made a goal of weight reduction, but that could be just a byproduct in the process. And that's a byproduct in the process. So the same
But does
thing,
it need planned efforts?
The same thing, perhaps the same thing, what you are planning to do, you might be doing the same thing, but with a deeper understanding and without a choice, perhaps. For example, you will end up eating a lot of fruits. Now, that could be picked up as a prescription. That somebody has told that I could reduce my weight eating fruits, so you must eat fruits. This is a prescriptory mode. Now the question is, what can I eat? As an organism, what can I eat? And before that, we may explore that what an organism eats and why at all an organism eats. This is a very serious matter. This is not an entertainment. This is not a casual discussion. We are discussing about life. So why at all an organism eats? Because organism needs some nutrients. That is the reason the organism has this function of eating. Can we go this deep? So that the seriousness will prevail. Then we'll explore that organisms do eat certain things, not all the things. Why? Because those certain things contains the needed nutrient for that organism. And necessarily the organisms in nature eat the things in its natural form without modifying it. Then if we bring the lens towards the human organism, then we find that the human organism eats something which is naturally tasty, can eat something which is naturally tasty. And that means that naturally tasty substances contain the nutrients, the needed nutrients for human organism. See the serious exploration. The whole connections are being made. So now, as an organism, human being, gets the nutrients from the natural taste, unmodified taste. So taste is very important. Taste is very important, and the state of the taste as unmodified is another important thing. The moment we mutilate the taste, the nutrition received is compromised. We are not getting the nutrients anymore if we are creating the taste. So for human organism, what is left to consume other than fruits? So the first person who took the prescription of fruit, now the second person has a realization that what is food and what is organism's food, human organism's food, and then I am human organism. This existence is human organism. Then what is my food? At this moment, without modifying, what can I eat? As simple as that. So every time while eating, if there is an inquiry, what can I eat now without modifying? And as a byproduct, I end up eating fruits every time. So it was not a choice. It was not a goal. Are you able to connect, Anita, on this?
Yeah.
So when we go deep into the basic instinct and explore the things, then by default, this weight reduction happens. It's no more considered as an achievement. It just happens.
Mm.
So that
It's
way,
difficult to find it as easy as it is presented, but yeah, I'm getting there.
yeah. So ultimately, the spontaneity, what we need to go at the deep, whether it is designed to uh, function in a certain way, or we have to bring some condition to make it function. Yes, so going forward, like the separations of conflicts are seen again in all the three layers. Whenever we try to modify the action, the focus is on action, suppose. If the focus is on action, that I must change the action, like this case, the first individual who has picked up the food by changing the action of eating with an intention to achieve weight loss. So there is no understanding playing a role here. It is just blind following which is playing a role. Somebody had an experience of weight loss. Now I have convinced myself that the weight loss is my goal, and let me achieve it. So this way, it's just a blind following, nothing more than that. Yes, you were saying something?
Yeah, so is it like I'm not actually taking planned efforts, but then by working on these aspects, I'm actually taking efforts. I mean, not planning to do those things, but those things happen when I have this develop this awareness. Can I say it that way?
Yeah, so if I start operating, not working, if I start operating by my basic instincts without sketching a goal, then what happens? So if I choicelessly operate, then some sort of actions are definitely obvious. What are those actions? What are those actions? Can we inquire that? And those actions are the spontaneous action for me. And there is no load of those actions anymore on the individual Anita. Anita is not owning it. It's just flowing through, Anita. So,
Yeah.
So we conventionally escape conflict by modifying our actions with some sort of intention. And denying the sensations also many times. No, I have not felt bad about it. There is an interpretation going on within, but I'm denying it. I'm denying to myself also sometimes that I'm very sad about something, but I'm saying, no. Sad, I must not be sad because I am an inquirer. That's a pride that I'm operating with. And I'm denying this sadness. And denial actually will further deprive us from understanding it. The moment.
Okay, so here I have a question which is related to the same thing now. So is it, should I accept that I'm overweight, but I'm still fit and whatever in the norms? I'm fresh, I'm energetic. So should I accept that it's okay to be this way? Or should I still want to operate in a way to reduce my weight? This is a conflict now for me.
Now, can I look at myself and my weight without interpretation? Without any interpretation that this is good, this is bad, this is shameful, this is pride. Without any interpretation, can I look at this fact?
How to do that? how
Whenever there is no judgmental perception, it is done.
Okay.
Now, any kind of conclusion that is coming while seeing the weight could be questioned. And the moment we question, that gets dissolved. That doesn't stay. So there is no judgment coming. There is no pride associated to the weight. There is no shame associated to the weight. Now what happens? Now we are here. This is all we are discussing about the natural lifestyle and the spontaneity. Now, spontaneously, an organism, human organism, is not structured to operate with a heavy weight. It is unnaturally constructed, evolved. When we see this without a sensation, a lot of revelations come, a lot of realization come. Then this so-called switching the diet is not a load, because I am interested in the basic instinct of the organisms and of the human organism and of this existence. So if I start understanding the basic instinct, then why would I go for cooked food? Right? And the moment I operate from the basic instinct, by default, the weight reduction is a byproduct. And this is not something to that that carrot and stick concern. Like we are not showing you the carrot to do this, but that's an obvious thing. That's an obvious, and that's how we are structured to operate. We're not trying to lure you by saying that if you operate in a natural way, then definitely your weight will be lost. But what is the ideal weight? When individual is operating without any condition. These all things can be observed. Like our nearest relatives are monkeys. In a wild space, monkeys are never obese. So we can understand that obesity is something which is achieved unnaturally by mankind or domesticated animals. In the wild space, obesity doesn't exist. So all this observation may lead us to lot of realization. So apart from modifying the action and denying the sensations, we perhaps intellectualize our perceptions with intention. So every point you see that with intention is mentioned. So with intention means there is an image picturized in the mind already as a goal. For that purpose, I am going to modify the action. For that purpose, I am denying the sensation. And for that purpose, I have to establish a perception. That is why I am intellectualizing it. So these are the roots of suppressing the conflict. I'm in denial. I'm escaping a conflict through these routes. I'm no more understanding a conflict. If at all we understand a conflict, there is a revelation that the conflicts get resolved on its own. Whether there some requirement of intervention is there or not, that's a question. Is any intervention needed for resolution of conflicts? So there we need to understand the natural movement, where the natural dissolution of conflicts can be understood. When we look at the nature and the existence, we see the conflicts actually remains for very minimal period. For example, a storm. A storm, the duration of storm is very much minimal. And if we look at the construction of the storm, then we see that there is an imbalance emerged in the existence, and to stabilize and reverse that imbalance, the storm occurs. This is just one of the examples of physical conflicts that we experience around. So similarly, in nature, in the natural movement, the conflicts actually are structured to resolve the imbalance, resolve the homeostasis, lost homeostasis. Whenever there is a chance of losing homeostasis or the balance, the conflicts occur. And it's a process to reverse that particular imbalance. Now, any kind of modification which is targeting the resolution of conflict will have its limited understanding, because our understandings are always limited. We cannot explore truth completely. We can just stay aligned with truth. So, if the understanding itself is limited, partial, any decision taken on the basis of that partial understanding is limited, obviously. So the conditional movement, the difference between the conditional movement and the natural movement is this, the partial understanding based conditions that we put, and the natural movement happens spontaneously. So finally, a question that, can we overcome a condition by putting another condition? We are subject to conditions. That is why the conflicts are experienced. Now we are creating another condition to overcome the conditions. So basically, we are not leaving the framework of condition, which is the P3P2 loop. So the moment we pick up a method to come out of a conflict, we are conditioned with that method. The spontaneity is still gone. We are considering that this method is solving it. And that means what we are saying to ourselves is that this is not structured to get solved by itself. That means it is not spontaneously happening. I have to make it happen. And if I'm making it happen, then it is not happening at all. It's just an impression of something happening. It's a pseudo sense of happening. So the question that we have to further explore is that, can a condition overcome the impacts of other conditions? Going forward, there is another question evolved. Is conflict really a conflict? Because when we look closely at the conflict, we see that there's some process going on. There's some process going on. So the very consideration of something as conflict is questionable now. So as we explore, that we have identified, suppose 10 problems, and we started addressing those one after another. Problem 1, we solve it. Then problem 2, we solve it. Problem 3, we solve it. Problem 4, we solve it. By that time, another problem comes in added to the list also. So this carry forward eternally. Now, instead of that, if we go deep into understanding the problem, and we find that the problem, the very interpretation of problem is imaginary, is illusionary, then all the problems altogether instantly dissolves. And there is no requirement of solution. So in the imagination of problem, we bring another imagination of a solution, and we keep on looping between the creating problem and solving it, creating problem and solving it. Whereas there is no requirement of interpreting anything as problem. It's just a human interpretation, considering something as problem. How does the understanding of conflicts happen? So when we inquire deeply and keep on inquiring endlessly, that time we see the process clearly. And no process is a problem. And this particular knack of exploration is a very innate in every organism, depending upon their structural capability, neural structure. They keep on exploring the things endlessly. And that's life. If an organism is alive, it is exploring, it is inquiring. So inquiry is not a skill to be learned. It is already there. It is happening. We end up suppressing many a time, and that we need to understand. And the moment we understand the suppression of inquiry, the suppression is revived. The inquiry is revived, suppression is dropped. Yeah, we can take up some reflection or any question at this moment.
Sir, it means if I am sad, without attaching to the sadness, I can inquire that why this sadness happened, and then the sadness automatically will dissolve.
Yes, so before this sadness, if we can explore sadness in general, whenever you are looking at this sadness, then you are looking at it from the lens of puja. So before that, if you understand what is sadness in general for anyone, that
Sir, how to
yeah, so
understand what
In general, definitely.
Unpleasant situation.
Come again.
Unpleasant situation.
Unpleasant situation.
Hmm.
So in an unpleasant situation, someone is sad. So first of all, considering a situation as unpleasant has got a foundation, has got a benchmarking and a comparison. Can we see that? We have some expectation from that situation which was not met up, which is not met up, and that's the reason the situation becomes unpleasant in my mind. That happens whenever. What is the base or the foundation of considering a situation unpleasant? Can we ask that? In general, not mine, not Kalyan's, not Pooja's. If someone is having a consideration of a situation as unpleasant, then definitely that individual has got a pre-decided benchmark or a picture about that situation, which is not matching with the actual situation. And that is why this is termed as unpleasant. Are you able to comprehend this exploration? Are we together in this, or I'm just narrating? Pooja, are you there? So basically, if we just look at this fact that considering something unpleasant is an interpretation, based on a benchmark, and benchmark is necessarily a stagnated perception. Because without stagnation in the perception, we cannot create benchmarks. We cannot create norms. So we have created a benchmark due to the perceptory stagnation, and we are comparing that with the present experience. And in this bargain, we are not able to see the present experience as is, because the focus is on that benchmark. I do not have enough energy to look at the actual things, because my energy is occupied in comparing the things based on my benchmarking. Yes, Sapna.
Taking it further from there, like she said, the sadness aspect of it, or it's not an expectation of sadness, but there are certain situations, like for example, unavoidable ones, like again from where we started, the death aspect of organism, or like I shared about my grandmother, that was the first experience of death for me. So when you go into the sad aspect of it, that's very natural, isn't it? That there has been a death in my family, or somebody who's very close to me. Yes, the attachment part is there. I need to explore that because the sadness aspect came because there was an expectation that grandma would be around longer. I will be still showered in a love, and that sudden loss. So more than the expectation, there was this sense of loss. And
no, both are connected.
Yeah,
those are not
both
discrete.
are connected.
Both are connected. Well connected.
They were all connected. So when you're going, so isn't that also, and there's a physical sensation attached to it, you start crying.
And that's the concern. That's the concern, you know. Whenever there is a physical sensation out of those considerations, that's something unnatural. That cannot be claimed.
wouldn't it be unnatural? I am trying to understand because I feel that that is my understanding and my feelings is that that is a spontaneous reaction, or it comes from within, where there's a sense of loss, or an understanding of loss, or the person is gone. And when you look at a dead body that used to be alive and that was a part of your life or your whole existence, it was very natural. Like grandma's
This is very much
it's not-
connected with the knack in which we look at any moment of life. Let's rejoin using the same link with a 5 minutes of break. Yeah, that's the last session of the morning slot. Yeah.
Yeah.